welcome to our podcast. Today we are with Daniel, Omar, Juana, and Paula. Today's episode,
The Midnight Library.
So guys, first of all, what are your opinions of the book? What do you think?
Okay, I think the book was really interesting in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. And I think we can, some people can feel like identify with the Nora, that is the main character, about the regrets and the question, what if?
Okay, but what kind of regrets did she have?
She had a lot of regrets about her relationship, about some, like, with the swimming, and about
her
some
sport
decisions that she got.
I think that a lot of their regrets and a lot of their poor decisions of life were essentially led by for different factors. For example, the depression she had already diagnosed since very early, and the expectations of the people around her. For example, her brother with the band, with the rock star thing, and her parents with their goals for her instead of her choosing what she wanted to do really. So I think that there are multiple aspects to take into account if you think as to why she was in a such poor state at the beginning of.
Okay, another important point is that Nora took the decisions based on the others' perspectives. For example, she followed the dreams that, for example, her father had. That was, for example, be a professional swimmer. For example, to open a pub with Dan, her ex-boyfriend. That kind of decisions that she wanted to take in base that others' opinion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think we forgot to introduce the story of the book. First of all, long story short, basically is about this protagonist Nora Sid, which is a girl who lives in a perpetual feeling of numbness and nonsense of her life. And I'm gonna quote here something that she literally said, that the narrator said in the book: "A feeling of being incomplete in every sense, an unfinished jigsaw of a human, incomplete living and incomplete dying." That's a pretty good summary of how Nora was, not just feeling, but was herself. Because in general, she just describes her whole life as, something very, very bad, very miserable. So because of that, she decided to end her life, and that's when she enters to this state, which is a sort of in between, which is called the Midnight Library, where she encounters with her own school librarian, and then from there she will start entering each book, which is a parallel universe of her life, in order to find the life she's most comfortable with. That's a summary of the book, essentially. And talking about what she was saying, my peer Juana, there are multiple realities which our protagonist enter in, where she encounters a lot of interactions with a lot of characters that more or less start shaping her in some aspects. For example, can you think of any character that you think is important for her character development?
For example, it could be, as I said before, Dan, her ex-boyfriend. Another important character is, for example, Voltaire, her cat, that died the night before she decided to kill herself. Yes, it was like the main reason because Nora take that decision. And another important character is, maybe her mom and her dad.
Her mom, her dad.
Because as we know, Nora was traumatized
Traumatized.
Traumatized. Sorry, with her, with the spot that they had made in her life. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think the death of Bolter was the main reason why she decided to unalive herself. I think it was more of a coalition of things that literally impacted her. As you can see, as you can say, a really bad day can literally shape the rest of your life. Yeah, if I don't remember wrong, first the death of her cat, then the absolute feeling of loneliness because nor her brother nor her friend or the rest of people that knew her was there to be reliable support. She was far from the work, and on top of that, she was criticized for her way to be. So I think it was more of a coalition, a more of group of different aspects of her life that collided simultaneously at her in her face. So I think it's something that most of us can relate very easily because we all have experienced in some way or another a day that we feel that is particularly very bad, like it sucks very much. And I think some of you can tell that I'm right. Some of you may have felt it. The question here is, what do you do when you have such a bad day, where you literally like feel like you're crumbling? For example, Omar, when you have a really bad day, what do you do to bear it, to deal with it?
I usually, when I have a bad day, I don't know or I don't have like mechanisms to deal with that. I just trying to not think about the problems I have and just act without thinking about the consequences, because I know that when you start thinking, you can start like creating a paralysis of analysis, because the problem is when you don't act and you stay only in your mind by thinking of the problem you have. So I just, if I have a problem or a bad day, I just set a specific goal that I had to do and I start doing this, and just I forgot the problem, because in the act of doing something, all the problems start like solving. That's my case.
Okay, yeah, it's more or less like you focus on the thing that you are to do instead of what you are experiencing, so you can deal with it and like effectively. So yeah, I get it. It's common. I think most of people have to deal with things that sort of way, especially because nowadays we don't have really much time. In most of cases, we don't really have much time to think and process the things we are going through. So we have to add in the motion, and I think that's more or less what also happened with the protagonist in some aspects, because yeah, she had time. She had lots of time to think about how miserable she was. But in reality, she didn't really stop to process and to try to understand and improve her past situation, her past feelings. So it started to consume her little by little. I don't know if you guys have experienced something of that way. For example, Paula, have you ever encountered such a situation like the protagonist, or have you ever felt that way?
I think I haven't faced a situation like Nora, but sometimes I can feel so overwhelmed about many assignments or about how people think or how people interact with me, because I'm a very sensitive person and I can feel overwhelmed so fast. So
how is that so? How is that you feel overwhelmed?
maybe because I have to do a lot of things, or I think that I'm doing everything. It could be at home or could be in a group project or something like that. So I can feel so overwhelmed because I don't know, just a feeling, random feeling. Maybe.
When we say overwhelmed, what do we mean with overwhelmed? Like a sensation of suffocating?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's similar to the protagonist in some parts where she is no, she doesn't say this. She realized this, and this is that she somehow feels not just overwhelmed but also scared of experimenting new things, and she doesn't try to open her mind in order to find other possibilities to live and other possibilities to just live in general. So she closed herself to the rest of the world and the opportunities it may offer to her, and that ends up with her being stuck. So I think it's that's similar with what you're saying about feeling overwhelmed, because when we feel overwhelmed, we don't really know how to approach anything. Sometimes we have the desire, like, I don't know, to escape or to disappear or just to poke ourselves in a hole. So I think that's something. I think that's something that the author thought very well at the moment of describing the actions of her protagonist and how she thinks. It's something really, really genius, honestly. I have felt that way a lot of times, actually.
Also, I remember something, and I also feel a little identified with the protagonist, that is the main character, that is Nora, and I feel regrets about not trying new things when I have the opportunity or the chance to do it, because I feel so insecure of myself and my skills, and that is something that happened with Nora, because she didn't try new things because she was afraid of, or for example with the band, or with to do what she wanted to do actually, and she was living about her father's expectations, and maybe she doesn't feel like with the wildness to do something or to do what
I think
she
the
wanted.
braveness is a better word. I think braveness is a better word for the
Yeah.
taking of responsibility of her actions, because essentially most of the time we don't really know what we're doing, but we know that we want to do something, or we have the desire to do something, and because of certain, I don't know, insecurities, anxiety, fears, we may come to not do it. And I mean, it could possibly not change our entire life, but as the bookstore said in a certain part, it's not about the big things, it's about the small things that shape our everyday life. So it's something that we all can relate to. I myself find that I have a lot of regrets in my life and in different moments, so it is common for us to wonder if we could have done things differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that the book throw at us in our faces, and it's that we spend lots of time thinking about what we're doing wrong, or what we're doing, what we could have done better. So we could find ourselves stuck in the past somehow.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way, Juan?
Yes, in my case, obviously, but not just with my daily life problems, but also with the regrets that I feel, because sometimes I start to thinking, what if I had made that, or what if I had taken that decision.
Could you give us an example of a regret you have?
For example, there are some regrets that are, I don't know how to say that, but totally natural, or because of the destiny. I regret to not give more, I don't know, kisses or hug to my dead grandmother. I miss her so much. But
I'm sorry.
Yes, but that is normal in this life. All the people die every day. So yes, I regret a lot. I think that I have a regrets book like Nora had in the Minot Library, as we know. Remember, it is like a gray opaque book that contains all the regrets. Yes, sometimes I I discovered that some regrets are like necessaries, are like yes, don't have the enough importance.
Maybe they don't have enough real weight on you. So even if you think or you feel that they're impacting you, which I mean, don't get me wrong, they do impact you. But maybe if you start to look things differently, you will realize that they have not such power on you. So I think it's difficult because in general our minds function really weird. Like it's common that we start divagating in different thoughts in different aspects of our life, and even though we could have moved on, we, depending of our mental state, we could like go back to those different stages, to those different regrets, those different things that we feel bad about, and that can make us somehow stuck to them, to those past actions, to those past events. I think it's important to realize that most of the time the action of going beyond to go further from our past is more of a conscious action that you take. I think that's actually similar to what Omar does when he deals with things.
I have to say that in psychology this is a problem that is very known, and it is called counterfactual thinking. That is a process when you start reviewing past events to visualize how it will be if you do it in a different way. And that is something that occurs to all the persons, but because this is a development of human, naturally we have to do it in the past because we need to find the errors that we do in the past to survive, because if we are in that way we can learn about the things that we do not we need to avoid to survive. But when it becomes chronic, when you start thinking about the past in a very recurrent way and you start all day thinking about the past things, it becomes a problem that will affect your orbitofrontal zone, that is the one that balance your emotions, so you can start overthinking about and this kill your decision taking ability, so you are not able to take a decision because you feel like if I do something I will do it in a bad way. So
in a negative
a person who is thinking all day about the past is probably that has no this capacity to think about the future. So that person has no the power of do an action. And that is something that in the book,
like it's paralyzed at the moment of facing reality.
Paralyzed of analysis. So try to be focused on the present is the way that we can solve this.
It's something that is actually an origin from most of mental struggles that we face nowadays, and that is our brain is developed not to face the current state of the world. We're not ready completely to live in such a large society, and that makes us being pushed beyond our limits. So that's why most of the time we hold such struggles mentally. I don't know about you guys. I myself have dysthymia. Do you know what dysthymia is?
No.
No, it's basically like depression, like a persistent depression. In certain periods of time, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, I could face a period of, let's say, low depression in general. We're not gonna talk about how it started. I myself don't know how it started. It could be pathological. It could be genetical, I don't know, but it's something that the protagonist faces, and I myself have felt a parallelism between her and me because most of the descriptions that she has done, I have felt him myself. For example, here's a quote that I would like to say, so you can get an idea of how it could feel being depressed. Her life was a cacophony of nonsense, a piece that could have gone in wonderful directions, but now went nowhere at all. This describes how most of depressed people, no, most of them, no, all of them, really, feel that even though their lives could be not really that bad, not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily have a real sucking life so you can say that you have depression and it could be valid. No, you could have perfectly the best life of the world. You could perfectly be the richest person in the entire planet, and still you will feel that type of emptiness inside you, that type of nonsense that starts driving your actions, and it is difficult to, I don't know, to find a sense of purpose between everything you're feeling. So at the moment of reading this book, I encountered different strategies that the protagonist takes. I mean, they're not literally strategies because we cannot be in a quantum library that takes us to parallel worlds, but still it's a parallelism of different strategies that a lot of depressed people and people with mental struggles do in order to deal with them. So for example, taking action, the principal and most important thing of all. Depression literally works that way. It isolates you, it convinces you not to do anything, and not to do anything is something that makes you feel depressed, so it's a cycle. The first course of action is to take action in general, in anything you have a little desire to do, and just start doing it. And after that, you have to start being present. And that's such a difficult aspect of life, being present. It's really difficult. I don't know if you have ever encountered difficulties at being present, like being in the moment.
Yes, of course. Many times I have been through that process of about indecision, as you say before, and also that I don't know what way is the correctly to. Or I am sometimes act like Nora because I don't know how it will be the future, how we behave the future about that decision that I have made. Yes, for example, and also this is a picture in the book because every life and every decision that you probably have the opportunity to make. It had different results, yes. Like for example, in the case of Nora, she explores different lives. When in the first one, well, she is married. She had a store, a pub. In the second one, well, she is a glaciologist, for example. She is working like a research glaciologist. In the next one, she is also married with a Mexican, and she is a business, and many others. And for example, well, the most important for me and the most reflective is the last one, is the life when she is married with Ash, and she had a beautiful daughter. So what I can understand with this life, I understood that in this life, sadly, not everything is perfect. Yes, sometimes there are turbulent aspects of of life. Yeah, life is not perfect always. Life sometimes means suffer. Yes.
It means tragedy. It means difficulties.
Yeah, yes. So in this case, in general, of the book is a great like portrait of this of life in general. Yeah. Another aspect that I like the most is like the representation of Mrs. Elm. Yes, the librarian.
Yeah.
She acts like her counselor all the time. Also like a mother figure. Yes. So that is a beautiful aspect of the life, a beautiful character that. Also
Yeah, I think that represents how there are different people in our lives that will impact us in such positive ways that we could end up taking them as role models and start to appreciate them a lot, and they could serve as guide figures in our darkest moments, where we could rely on, and we can know that they will be there for us. And I think the librarian, Miss Elm, here is a representation of how not only want to stick to the past, to past people in order to deal with our present, but also that affection that we may feel towards them. Even though if they are not in our current lives, we still use them as role models. There's something that I want to add to what Juana said, and that is that I feel like the lives represent how we must face those different things that we want to do, that we hold at such value. For example, the lives the protagonist wanted to live, so she thought that she will encounter eventually a life where she will end up living eternally, which at the end doesn't happen, because we sometimes think that our life is not really good. But yeah, I don't know, it's really difficult to come to that conclusion, to feel that our life itself is worth enough to live.
I'm also agree with Juana about that no life is perfect. We have a lot of problems, we have a lot of difficult choice that we have to take, and that could be really difficult for us and challenging, but I mean, we also should live our life as much as we can and enjoy it as much as we can, of course, and take risky decision if it is necessary. Another important point that I want to highlight is I think that Nora also paused her life because of Dan, and I mean, she adapted too much to his expectations instead of following her own path, to say in that way. So, for example, she was always willing to move or build another life instead of follow her own dreams, to say in that way. And I think that's something that humans do, and later we can feel regret about that, because it is not just change our perspective of life or adapt to another person, but also like we can lose ourselves for be that person that the other we want to be.
Yeah.
So that is so difficult.
We do not feel connected to that version or that
No.
people have of us. So it is very difficult for us to perform that ideal of us, because we are not ideals, we are people. I think that there's a lot of aspects this book really approaches. But in general, what do you think is the principal reflection that this book leaves to us?
For me, is that maybe, as I said before, I say that I feel regret not trying new things because I feel insecure about myself. So this book showed me another perspective, that is take risky decisions. when it is
Okay.
necessary. Because sometimes I'm almost all the time thinking about what if, not only about this kind of about the school, but also with my personal life, with my relationships, about something that maybe the decision I should took years ago. So maybe take risky decision if it is necessary could be a great idea for me.
And for you, Omar?
Well, I will talk about for me, the most important aspect is the paradox of election again, because in today's world, where is a limit, like infinite life that you can take, and we can analyze that in social media, where they present you dozen of possible life that you can have, and that is creating a generation of people who are so overwhelmed to all the options that there are that they don't take any, and that is creating a generation of people that is unhappy chronically and never compromise with the present. They are always looking for the perfect life, but never start in the moment.
Yeah, it's true. We always compare ourselves. I think that we idealize a lot other people's life, that we end up not appreciating our true and unique life that we all have.
Yes.
Juana, what do you think?
Okay, for me, one aspect where one message of this book is, I don't know, maybe the forgive the other people. Like, for example, she forgave her father, her mother. I like the chapter that I enjoyed the most was where her brother Joy forgave her. Yes, for getting out of the labyrinth of the band. It was a beautiful part, so reflective, and also how she started to grow herself, like to not just develop a better way to live her life, but also that she fell into account that she was a good person in general. She had a behavior like as a good daughter, as a good student, as a good teacher piano. So in this case, there is also, as you said before, live the life, or yes, enjoy the reality, and also to forgive our regrets, or to forgive
Ourselves.
and also
The people that have hurt us.
Yes, and also don't spend so much time thinking about the future, or as Omar said, to reach the perfect life in the future, because that could create, or that could grow in you toxic patterns.
Yeah.
For me, I think that there are two principal messages this book live, and that are the most important. I think that we have to have courage to live, to really live. You have to have courage to ask that person for a date. I think we have to have courage to start that new entrepreneur idea that we think it will come out right. I think we have to have courage so we can start learning that new language. We gotta be brave for us to start a new career over. I think a real important aspect of life is to have courage to face it, even though we don't know what will eventually come to us. I think that in most of my life I have to learn that lesson the hard way. I don't know if I have done it yet. I think I still have to learn how to do it, because I still feel fear at the moment of taking out actions on my own. But I think it's very important because that's what makes memories, that's what makes our lives worth living. And the other message I think is to just take action so you can move on in general, so you can start living your present. Because literally, all the book was just Nora like jumping and starting to experience new things, so she could learn what it was important to her, what she wanted to do. So she started to discover herself in different aspects, to reflect about herself, and all of that started because she wanted a better life. So I think that's the final message of the book, to take action. But don't get me wrong, all of your ideas are true, because that's the beauty of the book. It has a real broad interpretation of how we can face those dark moments of our life. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, there is a concept that is called fatty love, that is not acceptation, but like it's not about being comfortable with your life, but accepting your destination and do something with the things you have now.
Yeah.
That is for me.
How do you think people can come to terms with start acting in their present?
Well,
It's hard, right?
very hard.
It's very hard, actually.
but the problem starts when you start thinking about the past. So I will say that the easiest way for me is to think that the past events you had would be worst. So you can
Okay.
start like
That's actually
having
good point of view.
a sense of it could be worse.
Okay, yeah,
Can
it's
accept
a
the
point.
present.
Okay, yeah, it's true. It's actually a very good point of view that it will be very useful for me to apply. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I have had to understand that I have to move on. Well, I think there is not anything else that we have to talk about this book, because we have taken into account everything this book offers to us. So, to our-
Finally, there is a quote that says,
Oh,
"We
really?
accept the love we think we deserve." And I think that, as you said before, we should be brave to challenge, to face the challenging, and also if we don't feel good or secure or supporting environment, or with a relationship, friendship, or with people in general, we should move on and try to keep safe our mental health, because that is important.
Yeah, it pretty much is actually. It's something that especially a lot of people have to face every day, not feeling secure and not trying to improve their relationships and the love they are getting. I would like to end. I would like to end this podcast with a question, but directly to the listener of this podcast. Start reflecting about your life. Start reflecting about those things that you may regret, that you may feel that weighs on you. I think it's very important for us to cultivate that, to harvest that ability of reflection. So start wondering about what you would like to change and what you actually can change. And thank you very much for listening to the podcast of The Art of Living. Bye bye.
I hope you can enjoy it. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye.